Listen carefully. Weakness is not just a part of life, it is a silent killer. It creeps into your mind, your habits, your decisions, and slowly, it destroys your potential. Weakness is not just physical, it's fear, laziness, self-doubt, and excuses. The Stoics teach us one thing very clearly. You are stronger than your weaknesses, but only if you face them. You cannot run from them. You cannot hide. If you ignore them, they will control you, weaken your mind, and destroy your peace. First, recognize your weaknesses, be honest. Are you afraid to fail? Do you procrastinate? Do you complain instead of acting? Face them. Name them. Only then can you fight them. Next, act. Weakness dies when you do the hard work. Every time you push yourself to do what is hard, uncomfortable, or scary, you are killing a part of that weakness. Every small victory over laziness, fear, or doubt makes you stronger. Weakness is something most people underestimate because it doesn't always announce itself with loud alarms or dramatic failures. It often starts quietly, almost imperceptibly, hidden in the corners of our daily habits and thoughts. It might appear as a small hesitation to speak up, a tiny delay in taking action, or a subtle rationalization for avoiding responsibility. These moments seem harmless at first, but each one quietly chips away at your strength, your focus, and your potential. Weakness doesn't demand attention, it thrives in the shadows, and that is why it is so dangerous. You may not even notice it growing until it has already taken hold of your life. The problem with weakness is that it multiplies silently. A single act of giving in to laziness or fear may feel insignificant, but it sets a pattern. Each time you avoid discomfort, postpone growth, or excuse your inaction, weakness grows stronger. Like a vine that spreads silently through cracks in a wall, it infiltrates every part of your life. Your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions all begin to bend under its weight. The potential you once had starts to shrink, not because you are incapable, but because weakness has slowly been allowed to take root. This is why Stoicism emphasizes awareness and deliberate action. The Stoics understood that life is short, and every moment wasted in weakness is a moment that can never be reclaimed. Weakness doesn't just steal opportunities, it steals character. Each time you allow fear, procrastination, or doubt to dominate, you give up a piece of yourself. Your potential isn't just about achievements or success. It is about becoming the person you are capable of being. Weakness prevents this transformation. It whispers that comfort is better than effort, that the easy path is preferable to the right path. If listened to, this whisper grows louder until it drowns out reason, courage, and ambition. Over time, you may find that the person you once aspired to become seems further away, not because circumstances changed, but because weakness quietly eroded your drive. The danger is compounded by human nature itself. Weakness can feel justified. People make excuses for it. They blame circumstances, other people, or even fate. Stoicism teaches that the only thing truly within your control is your mind and your actions. Ignoring weakness is a refusal to take control of what matters most. If you leave it unattended, weakness does not remain static. It actively undermines your potential. It limits your choices, your resilience, and your capacity to achieve. Every dream that goes unpursued, every skill that remains undeveloped, every opportunity that is avoided because of fear or doubt, is a victory for weakness. It grows stronger with each unchallenged moment, making it harder to break free the longer you wait. Weakness is not an external force, it is an internal erosion. It is not something that will always be obvious to the world, but its effects are unmistakable in your life. Goals go unmet, ambitions fade, relationships suffer, and inner peace slips away. The quiet nature of what makes it lethal. It does not attack like an enemy in battle. It invades like a disease, slowly spreading, weakening your defenses, until the damage is profound and sometimes irreversible. The key is vigilance and action. The moment you recognize weakness in yourself, it must be confronted immediately. Small, consistent efforts to act against it, to choose courage over fear, discipline over comfort, and persistence over giving up, begin to weaken its hold. By consistently challenging yourself, by refusing to allow hesitation, excuses, or fear to dictate your actions, you starve weakness of its power. Growth, resilience, and potential are cultivated only in opposition to weakness, not in its presence. Stoicism teaches a profound truth. that many people avoid. The only way to overcome weakness is to confront it directly. Weakness, whether it is fear, laziness, anger, or self-doubt, does not disappear on its own. Running from it, or pretending it doesn't exist, only allows it to grow stronger. The Stoics understood that life is full of challenges, and that the person who wishes to live well must first master themselves. To master oneself, one must first face their weaknesses honestly. Avoidance is easy, and it is seductive. It promises comfort, temporary relief, and the illusion of safety. When faced with a difficult task, a scary situation, or the need for change, it is tempting to step back, make excuses, or convince oneself that the moment is not right. But this avoidance is exactly what Stoicism warns against. Each time you avoid confronting a weakness, you teach yourself that fear, laziness, or doubt has authority over your life. You give it power over your choices, your actions, and your character. In contrast, when you face a weakness directly, you strip it of its control. Recognition is the first step. You must see the weakness clearly, without exaggeration but without denial. You must understand where it appears in your life, when it influences your decisions, and how it limits your potential. The Stoics believed that knowledge of oneself is the foundation of wisdom. Once you identify a weakness, the next step is action. This does not mean that the process will be easy or painless. Confronting fear means discomfort. Challenging laziness means exertion. Facing self-doubt means vulnerability. But Stoicism teaches that growth and strength are born in discomfort, not in ease. By choosing to act in spite of weakness, you slowly transform your character. Every act of courage against fear, every moment of effort against laziness, and every choice to believe in yourself against doubt weakens the power that the weakness once had over you. It is a deliberate, consistent process. Weakness is not defeated in one grand battle. It is overcome in the small, repeated actions that demonstrate control over the self. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of perspective. Weakness often feels insurmountable because it is magnified in the mind. The Stoics remind us to see challenges as part of life, natural and unavoidable. They encourage the mindset that nothing outside your control should disturb you, but everything within your control, your choices, your discipline, your actions, must be fully owned. When you apply this mindset to weakness, you see that it has no authority except what you give it. Confronting weakness becomes a responsibility, not a punishment. Every effort to face it is an investment in your freedom, your confidence, and your potential. Another key teaching is preparation. The Stoics practiced reflection and visualization to anticipate moments when weakness might appear. They would imagine challenges, temptations, and difficulties, and mentally rehearse their responses. This prepares the mind to confront weakness when it arises in real life. Avoidance becomes less likely, and action becomes more natural. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches that weakness cannot be escaped, it must be confronted. It is through facing weaknesses, not hiding from them, that a person gains strength, clarity, and control. The process requires courage, patience, and persistence. The rewards are not only external achievements but internal mastery. By confronting weaknesses consistently, you shape your character, strengthen your mind, and protect your life from the quiet destruction that avoidance brings. The path is not easy, but it is the only path to true resilience, freedom, and fulfillment. Weakness is often misunderstood as something purely physical, something measured in strength, stamina, or endurance. People imagine weakness as an inability to lift a heavy weight, run a long distance, or withstand physical challenges. While physical weakness exists, it is only a fraction of the real danger. The weaknesses that truly control lives are mental and emotional. Fear, laziness, doubt, and excuses are far more powerful than any physical limitation because they quietly dictate choices and actions, shaping lives from the inside out. Fear is one of the most common and destructive forms of weakness. It manifests in many ways: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort, and fear of the unknown. When fear dominates, it paralyzes decision-making, prevents growth, and forces retreat. People often believe that avoiding fear protects them, but in truth, it strengthens fear. Every time you step back from a challenge because you are afraid, you allow fear to expand its influence. Laziness is another subtle but lethal weakness. It disguises itself as rest, comfort, or self-care, convincing you that delay is acceptable and effort is optional. Laziness erodes discipline and self-respect, creating a life of unfulfilled potential. Every uncompleted task, postponed goal, or avoided responsibility feeds laziness, making it easier to succumb the next time. Doubt is equally corrosive. Self-doubt whispers that you are not capable, not deserving, or not ready. It clouds judgment and diminishes confidence. When doubt controls your mind, even the simplest tasks become mountains, and even achievable goals seem impossible. Doubt is particularly dangerous because it hides behind rational thinking. It convinces you to wait, to hesitate, to second-guess yourself, often under the guise of careful consideration. Excuses are the outward expression of internal weakness. They are the stories you tell yourself and others to justify inaction. Excuses shift responsibility away from you and make you a passive observer in your own life. Each excuse builds a wall between who you are and who you could become. Unlike physical weakness, these internal weaknesses are invisible to others, making them harder to confront. They can persist for years, quietly limiting opportunities, achievements, and personal growth. The danger lies in their subtlety. They rarely feel urgent or threatening, yet they control the trajectory of your life. The Stoics emphasize the importance of recognizing these forms of weakness because they are fully within your control. You may not be able to choose your circumstances, but you can choose your response to fear, laziness, doubt, and excuses. You can act despite fear, overcome laziness through discipline, replace doubt with preparation, and refuse excuses by taking responsibility. The process begins with self-awareness. You must observe your mind, your habits, and your choices honestly. Identify the moments when fear makes you hesitate, when laziness tempts you to avoid effort, when doubt clouds your judgment, and when excuses provide comfort. Once these patterns are visible, you can challenge them. Every confrontation with these weaknesses strengthens character. Each time you act against fear, push through laziness, believe in yourself despite doubt, and reject excuses, you reclaim a part of your potential. Over time, these small victories accumulate, creating momentum and reinforcing resilience. Physical strength may fade with age, but mental and emotional strength, developed through overcoming fear, laziness, doubt, and excuses, endures and defines the quality of life. Recognizing weakness in its true form allows you to target it effectively. Weakness is not something external to fight, it is internal to master. The real battle is not with people, circumstances, or events, it is with the parts of yourself that resist growth, discipline, and courage. By confronting these invisible weaknesses consistently, you cultivate freedom, control, and power over your life, ensuring that fear, laziness, doubt, and excuses never dictate your destiny. Self-awareness is the foundation of strength, the starting point of any meaningful change, and the first essential step in overcoming weakness. Without knowing yourself, you cannot understand where your vulnerabilities lie, what habits are holding you back, or which fears are silently shaping your decisions. Weakness cannot be fought blindly, it must first be seen, named, and understood. Many people go through life oblivious to their own limitations, blaming circumstances, other people, or luck for their failures. They focus on external factors rather than looking inward to examine their own role. Stoicism teaches that the only thing truly within your control is your mind and your actions. Therefore, self-awareness is not just helpful, it is necessary. To become self-aware, you must observe yourself honestly and without judgment. You must watch your thoughts, your habits, your reactions, and your choices. Notice when you feel fear, when you hesitate, when you make excuses, or when you settle for less than your potential. Recognize these patterns as weaknesses that can be addressed. This process requires courage, because it forces you to confront truths that are uncomfortable. It is easy to pretend that everything is fine, that you are doing enough, or that your problems are someone else's fault. Self-awareness demands honesty, and honesty often feels vulnerable. Yet, this vulnerability is exactly where growth begins. When you clearly identify your weaknesses, you remove their power over you. Once a weakness is acknowledged, it can no longer operate in the shadows. Fear loses its grip when faced with recognition. Laziness diminishes when you see it for what it is. Self-doubt weakens when confronted openly. Naming your weaknesses is a form of empowerment. The act of recognition is itself a step toward control, because it transforms an invisible threat into a tangible challenge. Self-awareness also allows you to prioritize which weaknesses to confront first. Some weaknesses are more urgent, more destructive, or more limiting than others. By understanding yourself deeply, you can make strategic choices about where to focus your energy, ensuring that your efforts produce the greatest impact. Journaling, reflection, meditation, and honest self-questioning are all tools that can enhance self-awareness. These practices force you to pause, to examine your thoughts and actions, and to identify the patterns that repeat in your life. They illuminate the areas where weakness is strongest and where intervention is most needed. Another key aspect of self-awareness is understanding how weaknesses affect your interactions with others. Fear may prevent you from speaking up, laziness may lead to neglecting responsibilities, and self-doubt may cause you to miss opportunities. By recognizing how your weaknesses influence your life externally, you gain additional motivation to confront them. Stoicism emphasizes that true freedom comes from mastery of the self. Mastery is impossible without awareness. If you are unaware of your weaknesses, they operate unchecked, dictating choices and shaping outcomes. But with awareness, you reclaim control, and with control comes the ability to act deliberately, courageously, and effectively. Self-awareness is not a one-time achievement, it is a continuous process. Weakness evolves, circumstances change, and new challenges arise. By maintaining vigilance and regular reflection, you can identify emerging weaknesses early, preventing them from gaining strength. Recognizing your own weaknesses is the first act of strength, the starting point of transformation, and the key that unlocks all further growth. Without awareness, efforts to improve are scattered and ineffective. With it, every action becomes purposeful, every choice intentional, and every step towards strength deliberate. It is only by seeing yourself clearly that you can take the next steps to confront your weaknesses, challenge your limitations, and build the life you are capable of living. Fear and procrastination are two of the most destructive forces in life, yet they often operate quietly, subtly shaping decisions and limiting potential. They are invisible chains that hold people back from pursuing goals, embracing challenges, and becoming the person they are capable of being. The first step to breaking free from these chains is to identify them clearly, to name them without hesitation, denial, or excuse. When you avoid naming your fears, they remain vague and unmanageable. You know they exist, you feel their weight, but you cannot act effectively against something you have not defined. Fear is powerful precisely because it is unnamed. It lives in uncertainty, feeding on imagination and doubt. By giving fear a name, you bring it into the light. You transform an abstract, overwhelming feeling into a specific challenge that can be addressed. Naming fear also diminishes its authority. Once you see it clearly, you realize that it is a part of you, not an external force controlling your life. Procrastination works in a similar way. It disguises itself as planning, rest, or waiting for the perfect moment, but in reality, it is a form of weakness that steals time and opportunity. Unnamed, it operates in the background, silently dictating behavior. You may find yourself constantly delaying important tasks or avoiding decisions without even fully understanding why. By naming procrastination, by recognizing exactly where and when it appears, you gain the power to confront it. Stoicism teaches that self-mastery begins with understanding the obstacles within the self. Fear and procrastination are not enemies that exist outside of you. They are internal forces, fully within your control to challenge and overcome. The process begins with observation. Notice the moments when fear makes your heart race, when your mind imagines worst-case scenarios, or when you hesitate to act. Observe the moments when procrastination creeps in, when tasks are postponed, when excuses multiply, or when you convince yourself that delay is harmless. Awareness alone does not defeat them, but it prepares the mind for action. After recognition, the next step is confrontation. Naming your fear allows you to break it into manageable parts, to analyze why it exists, and to challenge its validity. Often, fear thrives on exaggeration or distorted thinking. By examining it, you realize that many fears are not as insurmountable as they seem. Naming procrastination similarly exposes the excuses and rationalizations behind it, revealing the true cost of delay. Small, deliberate actions follow naturally once you have identified these weaknesses. Facing fear means taking steps into discomfort, doing what you are afraid of despite the anxiety it creates. Overcoming procrastination means starting tasks immediately, breaking them into smaller pieces, and refusing to wait for motivation or perfect conditions. Each successful action against fear and procrastination reinforces control. The Stoics emphasize that external circumstances cannot dictate your peace or effectiveness, only your responses matter. By naming fears and procrastination, you take responsibility for your responses. You refuse to let these internal weaknesses dictate the course of your life. Over time, this practice transforms character. Fear loses its grip, procrastination diminishes, and confidence grows. You become someone who acts despite uncertainty, who progresses despite hesitation, and who masters the internal obstacles that once limited your life. Consistency is key. Weakness can return if left unchecked, and new fears and forms of procrastination can emerge. By regularly reflecting, naming, and confronting them, you build resilience and self-discipline. Naming fear and procrastination is not just a mental exercise, it is a declaration of power. It is the moment when you refuse to be a passive victim of your own weaknesses and begin to actively shape your life. This practice lays the foundation for all further growth, because control over fear and procrastination opens the door to courage, productivity, and freedom. Weakness thrives in inaction. It grows in the spaces where comfort, hesitation, and fear dominate. The mind becomes lazy, the body stagnates, and the soul loses resilience when action is avoided. The antidote to weakness is simple, yet often ignored: deliberate, consistent action. Stoicism teaches that strength is forged through effort, discipline, and the willingness to confront discomfort. Each time you push yourself beyond comfort, you weaken the hold that weakness has over your life. Action is the weapon against fear, procrastination, laziness, and self-doubt. Weakness exists in the realm of avoidance, in the moments when you convince yourself that delay or inaction is acceptable. It whispers that comfort is more important than growth, that safety is preferable to challenge, that the present moment does not require effort. If you listen to these whispers, weakness strengthens. By contrast, every deliberate action taken in spite of these whispers is a strike against weakness. Even small acts of effort compound over time, gradually reshaping habits, reinforcing confidence, and building resilience. To act effectively against weakness, you must first identify where it manifests in your life. Is it fear that stops you from speaking up, from taking risks, or from pursuing opportunities? Is it laziness that prevents you from working consistently toward your goals? Is it doubt that makes you hesitate and question your own abilities? Once identified, weakness can be confronted directly. Stoicism emphasizes that discomfort is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Growth, strength, and mastery are forged in the furnace of challenge, not in the ease of comfort. Each action that stretches your limits, forces focus, or demands courage is a blow against weakness. The process begins with commitment. Decide to take action, even when motivation is low, even when fear or uncertainty is high. Action does not always require grand gestures. It begins with small, consistent steps. Completing a task you have been avoiding, speaking a difficult truth, or practicing discipline in a daily routine are all forms of action that chip away at weakness. Consistency is critical. Weakness is resilient. It does not surrender easily. One act of courage or discipline may not feel significant, but repeated actions accumulate power. Over time, the habit of action reshapes your character. You begin to rely on yourself, rather than on comfort or avoidance, to navigate challenges. Action also trains the mind. Each time you confront discomfort or push through hesitation, you rewire your mental patterns. Fear loses its ability to paralyze, procrastination loses its grip, and confidence grows naturally. Stoicism teaches that the external world cannot be fully controlled, but your actions can. By acting deliberately, you reclaim control from weakness and uncertainty, asserting mastery over your life. Another essential aspect of action is embracing discomfort intentionally. The Stoics practiced exercises that put them in situations of mild discomfort to build resilience, such as fasting, cold exposure, or physical exertion. The principle is universal. Deliberately encountering challenge strengthens the mind and body while weakening the power of internal weaknesses. Action creates momentum. Once you begin, it becomes easier to continue. Each small success builds confidence, energy, and courage, making it harder for weakness to regain control. Avoidance shrinks, fear diminishes, and the mind learns to trust itself. By pushing yourself beyond comfort every day, weakness is systematically destroyed. It no longer dictates choices, controls emotions, or defines limits. The life of consistent action is a life of self-mastery, courage, and growth. The Stoic mindset understands that inaction strengthens weakness, but action, persistent, deliberate, courageous action, kills its strength is rarely built in a single, dramatic act. It is not forged overnight through heroic effort or one decisive victory. True strength grows incrementally, through small, consistent victories over the weaknesses that attempt to control us. Every time you confront fear, push past procrastination, resist laziness, or challenge self-doubt, you achieve a small victory. These victories may seem insignificant in isolation, but their power lies in accumulation. Weakness is like a heavy anchor, dragging the mind, body, and spirit down slowly over time. It does not demand attention in the moment, but its cumulative effect is enormous. Similarly, strength built through small acts accumulates silently, creating momentum that becomes unstoppable. The principle is simple, repeated actions compound. Completing a task you wanted to avoid, standing up for yourself in a difficult situation, or simply showing consistency in effort. All these small victories chip away at the hold that weakness has over you. Each act reinforces discipline, confidence, and courage. Over time, what once seemed difficult becomes easier, what once caused hesitation becomes routine, and what once felt impossible becomes achievable. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of daily effort and intentional practice. The Stoic understands that greatness is not the result of luck or circumstance, but of relentless, small victories that create a foundation for resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the value of daily action, the importance of improving oneself moment by moment, and the power of self-discipline. Small victories over weakness are practical expressions of these teachings. Another crucial aspect is mindset. When you celebrate and recognize even the smallest acts of courage or discipline, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of change. This belief is itself a powerful force against weakness. Weakness thrives on doubt, hesitation, and inaction, but the recognition of progress creates confidence and motivation. Momentum is created when victories accumulate. Each successful action makes the next one easier, builds self-trust, and strengthens resolve. The process is exponential. One small victory leads to another, and over time, the pattern of repeated success transforms habits, character, and life outcomes. This principle applies to all areas of life. Mental, emotional, and physical weaknesses can all be overcome through consistent, incremental effort. Fear diminishes with repeated acts of courage. Laziness weakens with consistent discipline. Self-doubt fades with repeated demonstration of competence. Excuses lose power as accountability and action become habitual. Stoicism teaches that external circumstances do not determine strength, but internal mastery does. By focusing on small victories every day, you gradually reclaim control from weaknesses that may have seemed insurmountable. Importantly, small victories build resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will inevitably arise. A person who has cultivated strength through repeated success over their weaknesses is better equipped to face adversity without being overwhelmed. The cumulative effect of small victories creates a psychological and emotional buffer, making it easier to navigate difficulties, maintain focus, and act decisively. It also fosters discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and action, and it grows naturally when small victories are practiced consistently. Each moment of restraint, each task completed, each fear faced strengthens the habit of action over avoidance, courage over hesitation. Eventually, the person who consistently wins these small battles develops a form of strength that is hard to break. Weakness loses its power, and the mind becomes capable, confident, and resilient. The accumulation of small victories is what turns ordinary people into unstoppable individuals. It is the quiet, consistent commitment to overcoming weaknesses daily that compounds into extraordinary strength, shaping character, reinforcing confidence, and creating momentum that propels a person toward mastery and fulfillment. Life is short, and time waits for no one. Every moment we spend giving in to weakness is a moment lost forever, a moment that could have been used to grow, achieve, or strength in ourselves. Weakness is subtle and patient. It does not need to rush because it knows that humans are often unaware of how quickly time passes. It grows quietly, embedding itself in habits, thoughts, and decisions. Laziness, fear, doubt, and procrastination slowly accumulate, shaping choices and controlling the trajectory of life without being noticed. When we allow weakness to persist, it does more than slow progress. It destroys the very foundation of dreams and confidence. Dreams require courage, focus, and consistent action. Weakness erodes these essential qualities. Every uncompleted task, avoided challenge, or delayed action diminishes belief in oneself. The mind begins to internalize failure not as a lesson, but as a reflection of incapability. Doubt grows louder, self-trust diminishes, and confidence erodes. The dreams that once seemed vivid and attainable start to fade, not because they are impossible, but because weakness gradually convinces the mind that they are unattainable. Time is the most precious resource we have, and weakness wastes it silently. Each moment spent succumbing to fear, distraction, or laziness is a moment in which the mind, body, and spirit could have been strengthened. These moments accumulate, and soon, a life that could have been filled with achievement, mastery, and fulfillment becomes defined by regret, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. Stoicism teaches that awareness of mortality is essential for living well. When you truly recognize that life is short, weakness loses its appeal. There is no room for hesitation, no excuse for delay, no justification for avoidance. Every moment becomes an opportunity to act, to improve, and to strengthen the self. By confronting weakness intentionally, you reclaim time and energy, transforming moments of vulnerability into moments of growth. Confidence is particularly vulnerable to weakness. The more you allow laziness, fear, and doubt to dominate, the more fragile your sense of self becomes. Confidence is not built in isolation. It is the result of consistent action and repeated proof to oneself that you can overcome obstacles. Each time weakness controls your choices, confidence diminishes, and the internal voice that supports your dreams grows quieter. Conversely, each act of courage, discipline, and focus reinforces self-trust. It proves to the mind that challenges can be met, goals can be pursued, and potential can be realized. Weakness does not simply disappear on its own. If ignored, it becomes habitual, creating a default pattern of avoidance that is hard to break. The Stoics emphasize proactive self-mastery precisely because weaknesses left unchecked have compounding consequences. Left unattended, they can destroy not only dreams and confidence but also relationships, opportunities, and overall quality of life. Life's brevity is the ultimate motivation to act against weakness. There is no infinite time to wait for courage, focus, or motivation to appear spontaneously. Each day offers a choice to confront weakness and strengthen oneself, or to surrender to its quiet, destructive power. The longer weakness is allowed to operate, the greater the cumulative damage. It becomes a filter through which all decisions are made, all opportunities evaluated, and all dreams judged. A life dominated by weakness is a life of limitation, fear, and regret. Recognizing the shortness of life brings urgency and clarity. It creates a mindset where weakness cannot flourish because every moment is valued and used intentionally. By taking control over weaknesses, you protect your dreams, reinforce confidence, and ensure that your life progresses toward mastery, purpose, and meaningful achievement. Life is full of events, challenges, and circumstances beyond your control. People, weather, luck, and unexpected situations will inevitably affect your life, often in ways you cannot predict or change. Weakness thrives when we focus on what is beyond our power, complaining, resisting, or feeling frustrated at things we cannot influence. The Stoics teach that true strength and freedom come from focusing on what is within your control and accepting what is not. To control what you can means to take responsibility for your own thoughts, decisions, and actions. Your mind, your attitude, your effort, and your choices are yours alone. No one can take them away, and no external circumstance can diminish them unless you allow it. By mastering these elements, you claim power over your life and reduce the influence of weakness. Weakness often arises when people attempt to control the uncontrollable. They argue, worry, or obsess over things they cannot change, and in doing so, they lose focus on the areas where action is effective. This misplacement of energy allows fear, doubt, procrastination, and laziness to dominate. The Stoic approach is to discern carefully between what can and cannot be influenced, directing effort only toward the former. Enduring what you must is equally important. Life will impose hardships, suffering, and challenges that cannot be avoided. Illness, loss, rejection, or failure may strike at any time, and these are beyond your control. Stoicism teaches that endurance, patience, and resilience are essential to maintain peace of mind when faced with adversity. Endurance is not passive resignation, it is active acceptance combined with inner strength. By enduring what you cannot change, you conserve energy, maintain clarity, and prevent weakness from taking advantage of frustration or despair. When you accept reality as it is, rather than wishing it were different, you maintain control over your emotions and reactions. Acting where it matters is the final, decisive step. Life presents opportunities where your effort, courage, and decisions can make a meaningful difference. To act where it matters means to recognize these moments and respond with discipline, focus, and determination. These actions are the practical expressions of wisdom, courage, and self-mastery. By identifying moments of significance and committing fully to action, you weaken internal weaknesses. Procrastination, fear, and doubt lose power when you act decisively where it counts. This principle ensures that energy is not wasted on trivial matters, but focused on meaningful challenges that shape character and destiny. The combination of controlling what you can, enduring what you must, and acting where it matters creates a life of resilience, purpose, and freedom. Weakness cannot flourish in this framework because it relies on distraction, avoidance, and misplaced focus. By aligning effort with control, acceptance, and decisive action, you systematically neutralize its influence. Stoicism emphasizes preparation and reflection to enhance this process. Anticipating challenges, considering how you might respond to difficulties, and planning deliberate action allows you to respond effectively when real tests arise. This mental discipline strengthens the mind and reinforces the habit of focusing energy on what is meaningful. Every day offers a choice: to be swept away by circumstances, to resist what cannot be changed, or to act ineffectively in trivial matters, or to follow the Stoic path. By choosing control where possible, endurance where necessary, and decisive action where it matters, you build an inner fortress that weakness cannot penetrate. This framework empowers the mind, strengthens character, and preserves energy for what truly counts. Over time, it becomes a way of life, a consistent method of facing challenges and maximizing potential, ensuring that external events do not dictate the course of your life, while internal mastery guides every meaningful decision. Discipline, courage, and persistence are not just qualities to admire, they are practical tools, essential for overcoming weakness and achieving mastery over oneself. Weakness exists wherever effort falters, fear dominates, or challenges are avoided, and these three qualities are the antidote. Discipline is the foundation. It is the ability to act according to reason rather than impulse, to prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. Weakness flourishes when discipline is absent because it thrives on indulgence, procrastination, and inconsistency. The Stoics recognize that the mind and body require training, just as a soldier or athlete trains to perform at peak capacity. Discipline is the deliberate practice of controlling habits, thoughts, and actions. It means waking up early, completing tasks even when motivation is low, resisting distractions, and committing to personal growth each day. Discipline does not rely on inspiration, it relies on routine and choice. It is consistent, repeated effort that gradually shapes character and weakens internal weaknesses. Courage is the second weapon, and it complements discipline. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. Fear is one of the most common forms of weakness, and it manifests as hesitation, avoidance, or self-doubt. Courage allows the Stoic to step into discomfort, take calculated risks, confront personal limitations, and act decisively when necessary. It is the force that drives action when the mind whispers, "Stay safe," or "Wait for later." Courage is cultivated through repeated practice. Each time a person faces fear, no matter how small the challenge, the mind learns that fear does not dictate outcomes. This reinforcement builds confidence, strengthens resolve, and creates a pattern of resilience. Persistence is the third critical weapon. Life is long, unpredictable, and filled with challenges. Weakness often appears as a temptation to give up, to surrender when the task is difficult, or to abandon goals at the first sign of failure. Persistence counters this by instilling endurance, patience, and consistency. It is the ability to continue acting in alignment with principles, values, and goals, even when results are slow, obstacles are many, or motivation wanes. Persistence is not mindless repetition. It is deliberate, focused, and guided by reason. Together, discipline, courage, and persistence form a triad that allows the Stoic to navigate life effectively. Discipline shapes behavior and prevents indulgence in weakness. Courage confronts fear and empowers decisive action. Persistence ensures continuity and endurance, allowing strength to accumulate over time. Without one, the others lose effectiveness. Discipline without courage leads to stagnation. Courage without persistence leads to burnout. And persistence without discipline leads to wasted effort. Stoicism teaches that external circumstances cannot be controlled, but these internal qualities can. By cultivating discipline, courage, and persistence, a person gains freedom from fear, impulsiveness, and the limitations imposed by weakness. These qualities are cultivated intentionally. Daily practice, reflection, and challenges are necessary to strengthen them. The Stoics often engaged in exercises that tested their patience, resilience, and self-control, understanding that mastery is built through repeated effort and experience. These weapons are not only defensive, they are offensive tools that allow action, achievement, and growth. Weakness retreats when met with consistent effort, bravery in the face of fear, and relentless pursuit of purpose. Discipline regulates, courage motivates, and persistence sustains. In combination, they transform ordinary habits into extraordinary results, ordinary individuals into resilient, capable, and focused people who can withstand adversity, overcome internal obstacles, and achieve meaningful goals. Mastery over oneself is the highest achievement in life, and these three qualities are the Stoics' chosen instruments to reach it. They are cultivated through awareness, action, and reflection, gradually replacing weakness with strength, fear with courage, inaction with persistence, and uncertainty with disciplined control. Your environment is one of the most powerful forces shaping your mind, your habits, and your character. Many people underestimate how deeply their surroundings influence their actions, their discipline, and even the way they think. Weakness grows easily in the wrong environment because the mind absorbs what it repeatedly sees, hears, and experiences. If you surround yourself with negativity, laziness, complaints, distractions, or people who make excuses, you will naturally begin to reflect those same attitudes. On the other hand, if your environment supports growth, discipline, purpose, and focus, strength becomes easier to build and maintain. The Stoics understood that while you cannot always control every part of your environment, you can choose what you keep close, what you allow in, and what you distance yourself from. This includes the people you spend time with, the places you visit, the habits you maintain, and even the digital world you consume each day. Your surroundings constantly shape your decisions, often without you realizing it. If you are surrounded by people who avoid responsibility, who complain instead of acting, who fear challenges, or who encourage you to stay comfortable rather than grow, your own strength will weaken over time. Humans naturally mirror behavior. If your environment rewards comfort, you become comfortable. If it rewards distraction, you become distracted. Weakness thrives in places where discipline is mocked, ambition is questioned, and effort is seen as unnecessary. The Stoic understands that the mind must be protected, just like a warrior protects his armor. This protection often begins with choosing an environment that nourishes the mind rather than draining it. Choosing a strong environment means being intentional about what you expose yourself to. It means spending time with people who encourage growth, who challenge you to improve, who push you to be disciplined, and who support your goals. It means choosing spaces that allow focus instead of cluttering your mind with noise and chaos. It means filling your routine with habits that lift you upward instead of dragging you down. Even simple changes, like creating a clean workspace, limiting toxic conversations, or reducing harmful digital consumption, can make a major difference in your mental strength. Your environment also includes your internal environment, the thoughts you entertain, and the emotions you allow to stay. If your mind becomes a place filled with negativity, blame, fear, or comparison, then even a healthy outer environment will struggle to help you grow. The Stoic trains the inner environment by practicing awareness, reflection, and self-control. By keeping the inner world calm and disciplined, the outer world becomes easier to navigate without losing direction. One powerful truth is that you are influenced by whatever you repeatedly allow near you. This is why the Stoics often stepped away from noisy crowds, gossip, distractions, or people who weaken their judgment. They understood that strength cannot grow in soil poisoned by negativity or chaos. To build real strength, you must place yourself in an environment that supports your highest self rather than your weakest one. This is not about avoiding all comfort or pleasure. It is about recognizing what helps you rise and what pulls you down. Strength is built when your surroundings challenge you, inspire you, or push you to act with purpose. If your environment does not support your growth, then you must change it. If your friends weaken your discipline, seek new influences. If your home is full of distractions, reorganize it. If your routine keeps you stagnant, adjust it. If your digital world drains your focus, limit it. You do not need perfect surroundings, only intentional ones. The environment you choose becomes the foundation upon which your habits and actions are built. A strong environment makes discipline easier, courage more natural, and persistence more consistent. A weak environment makes excuses feel normal, procrastination feel acceptable, and fear feel justified. By choosing your environment wisely, you choose who you become.